also did King County Bar Association, got them involved in a whole bunch of drug reform. Now he is a state senator, and we're looking at a whole new, a whole line of drug legislation. And we're taking a look more closely at treatment rather than imprisonment and the fines and everything else that come along with this. And so he's in there making a good quiet fight and making good sense of the new drug policy out there. So, yes?
Does the United Nations conventions have anything to do with our drug policies, and how does it play in our affairs? I understand that they control more or less what we do with our laws and our government.
There are some differences. I mean, we sit in Seattle and we watch Vancouver. Oh wow, they get to shoot up heroin in Vancouver. Of course, we see all the bad stuff because that's what they want to show. So down in America, we see you guys, well, and not me, but the way law enforcement would say is, you guys are too liberal on drugs. You just, you let it run amok. You don't have any control, and they always want to hold Vancouver up and say, this is what Seattle's going to turn into if we do sensible drug policy. Is people are going to be shooting up in the streets, they're going to be killing people on the streets, everything that they go down, that old adage. And we know that's not true. We know more than anything, once you have a good drug policy in place, we see people getting off drugs. The addiction rates are down. The crime rate is down. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are responsible adults and who do use at home and are not the typical people you see on the streets. Yes.
Is it true that until the federal law in the U.S. gets out of the way that the states are still subservient to it, or I don't know?
Absolutely. Well, anytime we do have the federal law hanging over our heads. And so what we're trying to do is come back to a state with the states' rights issue. For us as medical patients, we don't go anywhere over 99 plants because you go above that and it could become federal. We just had a new law that went through Washington State, which allows us 15 plants and 24 ounces. And that was a new law that just came through our legislature. Unfortunately, we fought that as hard as we could because we have some good dosing reports and some of the best medical researchers in the Seattle area and through the University of Washington. And their dosing report came out at 72 ounces and 99 plants for a 2-month supply issue. But unfortunately, the legislators and some other people got in there and didn't listen to the science, and so we've been stuck with 15 plants, which has made it very, very difficult because everybody I know, including myself, I'm over that. So one of the new things that we're taking a look at too is breaking away from the plant count and getting the research and development side of this and applied sciences and getting more strain specific. You heard Michelle talk about the Williams Wonder for her Crohn's disease. We have another strain that we've been working with them for a good 15 years, the plum strain, and that's really good for our MS patients. But we need to have more research and more development on that, and to be able to go more strain specific for patients, so they know that their ingestion is actually going to work for them. I have had some patients, use some medicine and say, wow, it's not working, and it's like, bring it back, let's return it. I'm not going to have you spend any money on something that's not going to work for you. So, yes?
Is there any concern about the pharmaceutical companies like hijacking cannabis and creating their own patenting and so on?
You would think, well, there's one right now, I think, at GW Pharmaceuticals, that they're not really getting anywhere. It's really funny to bring up the pharmaceutical companies, though, because one of the things was when we had the law going, this last legislation, we had S.J. Johnson, a family company, write the governor and ask her not to sign the bill into law. And for me, I'm like, well, why is this national company, or international rather, interfering into our state rights law? And I mean, they're fanatically religious. I'm like, I can't understand this beef between the pharmaceutical and medical marijuana, because it's the medical marijuana that helps keeps my AIDS drugs down for me to take them. So it's a benefit for the pharmaceutical companies that we can keep taking their medications. They're going to get far more money, and if we're throwing them up and not taking them, that's just a whole bunch of waste of money. So, yes.
I got a pill, it's called Sesame. Very expensive. And I think they give it to cancer patients and stuff. I don't have cancer.
So what is it called again?
It's dropping
Sesame.
off in Canadian market.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, in California.
Well,
Is that synthetic form? Is that a synthetic form?
It is, yeah.
It is?
is that
Okay.
what it is?
See,
When
yeah.
I told my doctor, and my doctor told me since I've been 9 years old, till almost 40 years. I said, no, I just like to haul up a joint.
Right. See,
But I had a back operation, and some of the medication he gives me, I don't get hungry. Right? I have real problem with that. I have a couple of hauls of tens of weed, and I raid the fridge.
absolutely. That's medical. We find it.
That's all we need.
You know, I would like to talk about Dramamine and this fake THC. I've dealt with that for a good, 20 years of my life too. Whatever. I've had AIDS for 21 years now. And that's a synthetic form of THC. They just went in and took one component of the plant that has nothing to do with nothing really in the grand scheme of it. And when you have over 400 components when it comes to the natural plant, so much is being left out. With the Marinol and the Dramamine, it was so unstable. It would work for some people, it wouldn't work for some people. You would take it and think, oh my God, it's not going to work. Go to the mall, and next thing you know, you're looking down on the floor going, drooling like a camel. So you never knew when it was actually going to hit. With using medical marijuana, you know it's self-titrating when you're going to be smoking or whatever. You're accustomed to cooking with it. You know how much you're going to get at what time. And you're able to control that a lot more. With the Dramamine, there's no such luck. So, yes.
Could you maybe, I don't know if you know the answer or not, but I've heard things on either side for blood pressure, high blood pressure, and some things are totally extreme. It jacks up your blood pressure, and then other things are like, no, it's good for you, you should smoke some pot. So
Sativa and indica.
I'm confused.
There was a little bit of study into that, and it was really fun exactly how it got the law passed. There was, for males that are in their 40s, they said it does raise your blood pressure for about a half hour to 45 minutes. So they ask that you don't have sex and go running or work out. But unfortunately, I've been able to do all of it and be fine.
But so does cigarettes and coffee raise your blood pressure, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Brings your temperature down,
Isn't it quite different for everyone though? Like I have medical issues that they've said that it's caused different things to happen in my body, and maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, but do you think it maybe the different kinds and has different effects on different people's health? Is that realistic or?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of validity into that because, you're going to deal with the sativas and the anticas, and then you start branching off into their own personality traits. I had a good friend, and she is a diabetic, and she swore she could control her blood sugars by the different strains we had. But at that time, we were doing consistent, and still are doing a few consistent strains. So we always have those on hand and on ready. And also it depends on, the type of grower, the medium, and everything else that goes into that, the nutrients. So it does. And so this is why I like to see a lot more research into this and getting more strain specific.
Yes, it really comes down to there's so many strains that offer so many different qualities that making it legal, making it medically available that the people that need certain things can get certain things. I mean, that's maybe something I'll focus on for my thing. But I think, I'm not sure what my question is, I'm sorry. It just kind of made me.
I did. It's getting in there and doing some research and development and having a lot more understanding on this. It's like we're not allowed to do any federal studies in the United States, and that gets to be aggravating a lot. Do we have the equipment? Do we have the material? Yes, we do. We can knock out this medical marijuana research in just a very short time if we just had access to it. The only access that we've had to it is the Mississippi weed, which is just really, really, really bad. Really bad. There's a reason they send them a couple pounds.
3%, isn't it 3% or so for all test research in the United States? That
But,
weed from
yeah.
Mississippi, it's 3% THC.
Yeah, 3% is just, yeah. And it was funny at one time because this is the IND patients, the 6 patients who get in the United States. At one time they stopped putting the buds through the machine rollers because it was gumming up the rollers. So they were throwing in sticks and leaves, and I'm like, oh wow,
Nice.
yeah, take the best part. And,
Just kidding.